way in these podcasts, and maybe just a little insight into like what's going on in a wine bar, the internals and stuff, shop talk.
I think that's good.
I think it'll all be fun. So my first question is, what are we drinking right now? What are we drinking?
Well, off script, whatever limited script that we had.
Right.
We're drinking a bottle that was unplanned. I sampled it at our other restaurant, Plancha.
Right.
It's a Cabernet from Napa Valley.
Right.
It's called 1621. You don't even actually know. You've never tried it. And I think the winery is called like Dharma or Darms Vineyard or something. I completely heard about it. Today's Thursday. I heard about it the first time on Tuesday. I called Joe from Massapequa, which we haven't really dealt with in a while. I heard very good things about it, so I asked him about it. He immediately brought it in. I think it's really good. It's Napa Valley Cabernet. The thing I like about it is that to me it's kind of like, it's dry, it's dusty, dark fruit, black currant, cassis on the nose. It kind of checks all the boxes of classic Cabernet, but it's not crazy expensive. In fact, we haven't even really talked about it. What would you say? I guess we can't talk we should really talk wholesale prices, right?
So we can talk retail price.
Retail price, 1.5 on the wholesale.
Right.
What would you say this costs in the store?
Well, like I was saying to you before we started.
Yep.
It's very clean. It's very fruit driven. There's not a lot of Californicated flavors on it with like the crazy oak and the mint and the sweet jammy. It's real cab. It's like real classy wine, but it doesn't have any of that European like old world dirty flavors.
Right.
It's fruit driven, clean. Yeah, very nice, clean Cabernet. It's modern in its way, but without being that like hyper modern California style. It's just fruit driven.
It's not extremely fruity. Right. It's not extremely oaky.
Exactly.
It's not sweet.
It's just Cabernet.
So, okay, well, what are you paying for it in the store?
I mean, it's well made. It's got good fruit concentration. There are no flaws. It's perfectly balanced. The tannin level for me is maybe a little light. I mean, it's a good tannin, but it's not enough to give it like a full plush velvetyness. This hits me like a solid, good tasting California cab that's got a good, like, nuanced, elegant winemaking style, but it's not super premium. I mean, I would pay, I would go maybe as high as, I might go as high as $25 a bottle on this retail.
Okay.
It might be as little as, 18.
It might be as high as...
because it easily could be 35.
Napa Valley on the label.
Sure. Okay, knowing it's Napa,
which just adds some kind of
I mean, it could easily be 45 or 50.
I agree. It could be that, right?
But I would be more into paying 25 or 30.
Sure.
I feel like that's more appropriate for what it is.
So, the front line is what it is. If we buy a few cases, brings the price down. You can get this to, I would say, in the mid to upper 20s retail.
Okay.
So now,
I'm right on the
which would be what, like 18? It goes out of $17.50 wholesale, right?
Right. So in your average
put by the
wine
glass.
shop, you'd often see it at 22, 23, but it might be as high as 30.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like, when you usually taste nowadays a bottle of Cab that says Napa Valley on the bottle, you don't get this seriousness, dry, velvet, more of an elegant style at this price. I don't think so. I think it's hard to find.
I agree. There are a lot of wines that, they're not as believable. They're not as realistic as this at that price. They're caricatured. You taste like a manipulated flavor in a lot of the wines that are trying to taste more expensive than they really are. And at this price point, that's often what you're getting, is that manipulated, Californicated flavor, as I call it,
And would you perhaps say that this doesn't have that?
I would say, yeah.
Manipulated?
No, it's the real deal. It's a real thing. It's very natural, very clean, real winemaking.
So now the question is...
Yeah?
I already got a whole shitload of it, by the way.
Oh.
It's already coming on Monday.
So he's already bought
I actually
this.
don't care what your opinion is, because we already bought it. We're deep into it.
So that's the deal, Mallory. He's already bought this for the wine bar, and
it's already.
we're in. How much did you buy?
Well, to get it to see the thing is.
I love how he like springs this on me. Like, what do you think of this? It's okay. I spent $5,000 on 10.
It's not quite
of this.
5,000. It's only
I spent
$35.
$5,000
It's not
on
even
10 cases of this.
No, it's not.
So I hope you like it.
I like it.
Because you'll be drinking it for a bit.
All right,
Good choice.
What do you say, Mallory?
I like it.
All right.
You like? Oh yeah,
okay,
that's
good.
That's
That's
right.
good.
We gave Mallory some. No. Well, I guess we're talking wholesale anyway.
Okay.
I mean, whatever. That's what we always talk, right?
Wait, how many cases did you buy?
Exactly. So on the front line, it's like 22 on one case
Okay.
is what front line means,
Right.
or one bottle,
Case
really.
price, right.
But on 6,
Okay.
it goes all the way down to the very by the glass,
Okay.
by the glassable price of $17.50.
All right.
Imagine this as on the board is Napa Cab for, let's say,
12?
12. What do you?
You don't think so?
crazy?
14?
15, I would say.
15, dude.
I will go as low
Because
as
it's
14.
Napa Cab.
I mean, 15. I asked Joe, I was like, what are people usually putting this by the glass? He's like,
Yeah.
He's like, I've seen as low as 15. I've seen as high as 25. Probably I see 20 usually.
So he hasn't seen below 15.
He hasn't seen below 15.
Well, that's why we should do 14.
Well, it's, you know what?
Yeah, right.
It's your bottom line if you want.
Yeah,
but
well,
I say you can easily charge 15 for this. It retails 30. It's probably on many wine lists for like 80 a bottle, 70 a
keep
bottle.
the price reasonable, you sell more, you know?
Sure.
Listen, I mean, look, for that price, I'm good with it. We can roll with this as like a premium Napa Cab,
Right.
14, 15 a glass.
Right.
Absolutely. People will be happy.
I do wonder though, like Napa Cab, right? Mm-hmm. You know how we always say we kind of have bottomed out our by the glass list at like 7 or 8, and we have like we have the most. Mallory knows we have the most reasonable glass prices, especially bottle prices around. But we kind of bottomed out the by the glass price at like 7 for a white, and that's even pushing it, and like 8, which is pushing it for the reds. But there's some wines we could easily charge, reds that we could easily charge it for 7, but we felt like if we charge 7, no one's gonna buy it. They're just gonna think it's some bullshit. It's just some crap, and it's not. It's just that it's just inexpensive,
Right.
but good. Like that can happen.
Yeah,
but we've actually
sure.
found we'll sell more of it by charging $1 more, or whatever. Could that be the case with this cab?
Could be.
If you charge 13 or 14 for this, will it sell better?
I
Then
mean, I
if it
think
was
once you get
15?
into those kind of prices, then yes.
Perhaps. You know.
Yeah.
Well, think about Barolo. What if your Barolo's 48 instead of 62? It's the same exact
That's
bottle.
on the list. List items are different than by the glass items.
Could be.
Let me ask you something, Mallory.
This is the question.
Let me ask you something. I feel like we started this podcast, which is supposed to be about wine.
One more
right?
splash.
Which is all good. And I feel like we just snapped into like our total like normal, the way we talk inside the industry, inside the restaurant about pricing and stuff. And I feel like it got too heavy, too fast. Do you know what I'm saying? Like so you as like you're not in the industry, but you're interested in one, you like one.
Got hot and heavy.
It's something you might want. This might be something you would watch. Did it just get too like insidery and like whatever too fast?
Might be giving a little too much away.
Well, I don't care about giving away.
Like your transparency is what you're going for. By
Yeah,
all
we're an
means,
open
keep
book.
it up.
Oh, you mean for the business business reasons?
To keep it working.
Business,
No, but I mean for like if somebody was interested in like, oh, what goes on inside the business in a wine bar? What's it like? What's it like to be a sommelier in a wine bar?
Well, I guess this is kind of what it is.
This is what it is, right?
It is certainly, and I definitely got carried away there.
About whatever products you plan on purchasing, and these are all things you take into consideration. These are
Yeah.
it's like your checklist. So someone could be watching this for the sake of wine critiquing, or for the sake of what goes into running a business that sell his wine in this kind of
Right.
style.
I mean, that's definitely, I definitely got carried away. But I don't know if that's like a bad thing. This is certainly the conversation we have when
Absolutely.
talking about the pricing and the wine
Absolutely.
and everything. And this is a very normal. Every day we have this conversation
just,
about wine.
on your part, it's just how much of it do you want to give away?
Yeah.
You know,
No,
'cause
I'm
it's
not
just,
worried
it's
about
like
that.
you
Yeah,
give
I'm not
away
either.
the inside, and it's like, you know, someone's like, oh, you're upcharging this glass of wine
Well,
for this.
I'm not worried about that.
that.
I'll tell you why. Because we don't upcharge as much as, and I understand what other restaurants do, but we have the lowest markup that I've ever seen. I mean,
Yeah.
every rep says that. Every producer that comes into town from Italy or Spain or California, they always say, "What, you're going to charge that price for my wine?" They're always surprised. So no, I'm not afraid of that.
Okay.
And at the same time, restaurants in Manhattan or wherever that charge X amount times for the costs of the wine, like, there is a reason behind that. They're probably making the profit's probably less than you think because they have to cover this cost and that cost and this guy and the rent and blah blah blah. So
Yeah. No, I mean, people always have a very unrealistic idea about like what markups should be. They're like, well, if it only costs $20, why are you charging $40 for it? You know, and it's like, are you kidding me? There's
gotta
rent.
get here.
There's a staff that makes collectively $10,000 a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
There's all the
There's
utilities
mouths.
and the equipment. Are you kidding? You know?
Totally.
I mean,
But,
me
yeah.
alone, I cost money.
Right. I got
Just
a
like right off the top.
sommelier on staff. You think that's free?
Full time,
Yeah.
on call.
Yeah.
You got a sommelier,
Right.
Like you have a sommelier.
I have a sommelier
You know?
on staff. That's not free. You know, it's not free.
In a sense, though,
It
you
was his education.
well, the education wasn't very.
Well, exactly.
But
what I'm saying.
it's
Right,
funny
right.
though. In a sense, I know it's your business, and I'm the sommelier for the business.
Right.
But in like a slavey kind of way,
Yeah.
you have a sommelier. It's like, yes, I have a sommelier.
I have a sommelier. Let
Yeah.
me call my
in a
sommelier.
sense, you personally.
I don't know, not too many people. Well, in some sense, anybody that comes into this restaurant that's like a regular here, and this is where they get their wine, they can say, Andrew's
This
my
is-
sommelier.
Okay.
So, right, I mean, a lot of people could say it, depending on how you take that, right?
Yeah. But I
Well,
mean, for the sole purpose of the business.
Yeah.
Well, we have a unique take on sommelier. Kind of a lawyer, like you have your lawyer,
Right.
your accountant.
Right.
We're
Well,
kind
if
of
you
banking
drink
on this.
a lot, then you need you need your own sommelier. If you're a serious drinker,
Yeah.
then it's like I need to call my sommelier. You know, you have him on speed dial right next to your account.
Flies in on a helicopter.
Yeah.
We're kind of hoping that becomes a thing. Like, oh, I have a meeting with my accountant at 1:30 up in Melville.
Right.
And then I got to run down to Massapequa at about 2:45, about 3. And I just have to meet with my sommelier. I've pretty much exhausted my Northern Italian selection. So I need to, I just have a brief meeting. You know.
Exactly. We have this whole vision of the sommelier being an integral part of people's lives. In the future, that's where it's going to go.
Hey, why not?
You know?
I love wine enough.
Like how people have a personal trainer.
Yeah.
You also have your personal sommelier. Yeah,
If
he
you-
has other clients, but he's he's your sommelier.
If you have kind of a silly amount of, extra income and disposable income, not everybody's going to think about, oh, let me hire this wine guy that you have to pay. I'm not going to do it for free to take care of my wine needs.
Some people will.
Maybe,
Service
maybe.
for suggestion. It's
Yeah.
like investors. They're suggesting what you invest in.
Suggest. I'm
They're
just
not going to
suggesting.
force you to invest in it, but they'll suggest what you invest in it.
That's
and
right.
Hopefully to benefit your future.
Exactly right. I mean, it could be right. You could, if you get advice from an expert sommelier and you buy the right, Bordeaux's in the right year and stuff and sell them, that actually can be a very profitable investment if you
Yeah.
have the expertise.
Well, that's true.
And
whatever
just in
people
that sense,
think
you
of
can,
that, but yeah,
it's a good professional advice.
I think a lot of people that figure that out, they know about their blue chip Bordeaux's and Burgundies and cult cabs. I feel like they probably think they know it all too. Mm-hmm.
They probably
I don't
do.
need a somm. I don't need
Sure.
a consultant.
Sure.
I've been drinking, Screaming Eagle for years. I know that this is I know what I'm doing. So-
Sure. And, if you only know a few wines and stuff, sure, no doubt you can probably make money cellaring a few labels and stuff that you know. But if you're a great somm, you'll be aware of more opportunities than the average, Screaming Eagle
What
guy
might be
or
coming, just like an investor of some sort.
Right.
And
Right,
it's
the average
case.
person can invest effectively, and they can make a return.
Right.
An expert can probably make more. That's all.
I've always thought about investing in wine. The thing is, and of course, there's ways you can invest in it that it's not physically in your possession.
Sure.
There's warehouses and companies that will hold it for you. There's my uncle who will hold it for me. But to buy it yourself and keep it in your own house, it's like, but you might drink it. You
There's
might
always
drink
that
it.
risk. Right.
I know I'm supposed. One night you're like, I know I'm supposed to save this. I know it's my son's future and everything, but it's so good. It's okay. Let's just pop it.
Dad, where's my college money? I drank it years ago.
Yeah. And then you peed it out the next day. Ridiculous.
I drank your college money, son.
Yeah. So
Think about becoming a plumber. Oh, what? I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I think we're ready to start the podcast.
Sounds good.
The episode is on this particular wine right here. Should we start now?
Sure.
Are we ready to start?
Maybe.
Oh, okay. All right.
What? We're rolling?
Whatever.
Wait, I thought that was practice.
No, we were rolling the whole time.
All right.
Okay, there, I got it. Edit this out.
Yeah. Delete that.
Delete that.
All right.
Wait. I have to say my signature catchphrase.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Andrew.
Let's pretend that we're not doing anything right now. Yeah.
So, Andrew, what are we drinking?
You and me?
Yeah.
What are we drinking?
Yeah, I say, what are we drinking?
When? Tomorrow?
No, right now.
Oh, right now?
I say, what are we drinking? And then you go, Central Coast Pinot Noir,
Oh.
Okay.
Well, you already know what we're drinking.
Yes, I know, but for the podcast.
From the sounds of it. Well, okay, what are we drinking?
Why does he have to step on my lines? You know what I mean?
You stepping?
Because
not really.
you fucked it up. You completely fucked it up.
Security.
You just...
All right. Wait.
All right,
So,
sure.
Andrew,
Josh?
what are we drinking?
Well, tonight I will, I'm happy to bestow upon us a wine that I've heard about for many years. And despite my ridiculous kind of on tone right now, this is all very true. A wine that I've never tried, but I've heard much about for many years, Kosta Browne. That's the name of the winery, Kosta Browne. Their reputation certainly precedes them. I have, read about them and seen it on wine lists, good wine lists in the city and
A
whatnot.
reputable wine.
Reputable and iconic and exemplary and, a model for the rest of the wineries in the region.
Sounds good.
Typically, something I've considered even getting before, a little too expensive for what I thought our wine program needed. Nevertheless, Kosta Browne is a Pinot Noir from the Russian River Valley, which is a subregion of Sonoma County, California.
It's a valley within the Sonoma.
It is actually a
Sonoma
valley.
County.
Yes, it is
That's why
actually
they
a
call
valley
it the
within
Russian
Sonoma
River
Valley.
Valley.
Right. And the reason why it gets its own, it's one of, probably many valleys within Sonoma with a particular cooling influence from the Pacific down the river, which is really up the river because the river goes into the ocean, which cools the vines and preserves freshness and prolongs the growing season of the grapes, so flavors become a little more complex, more elaborate, more acidity is preserved in the grapes.
Wait, because it cools it prolongs the growing season?
Yes.
I got to stop you right there.
Why? What'd I do?
Well, to me... Wait, don't open that.
What are we doing?
To me...
What is this?
I'm just asking. I want to clarify here. And Mallory, you're with me on this, right? If there's a cooling influence, why? To me, in my mind, the growing season would be the warmer part of the year, the summer and into the fall, right? So if there's a cooling influence, hard for me to understand how that prolongs the growing season and gives you more richness and complexity. You get what I'm saying? I would think a warmer kind of thing would prolong the growing season. Why does cooler air prolong the growing season?
Well, it
Say something really.
I mean, am I right?
Well, I'm just gonna say something really morbid. And say,
All right.
Why would you freeze a body?
Right. Oh, well, okay. All right. Okay, interesting point. You prolong, that's how you preserve things.
Yeah.
Interesting. But to me,
Kind
like,
of
the growing season ends when it gets too cold. And if you could avoid it getting too cold, that would prolong the growing season. So I'm curious what you're saying. Like, why does cool air coming in off the ocean prolong the growing season? Can you explain that?
Yes, because the kind of cold you're talking about that ends the growing season is the kind of cold you can't come back from. It's the fall rolling in. It's cold not only at the night, but during the day as well.
All right.
So what I'm talking about, consider a very hot climate for grape growing where it's hot all day, it's pretty hot at night, in the middle of August or something. In the Russian River Valley, it's hot during the day because it's the growing season.
Okay.
But at nighttime, for example, from higher elevation, from Pacific influence, from morning fogs, it gets cooler during these hours than it does in the other hours.
All right.
But the daytime temperature continues the same as any warm region. So all I'm saying is the grapes ripen later. Let's say late September.
Gotcha.
Rather than early September or late August. Still well within the growing season. I mean, the days are still perfectly warm in September and perhaps even early October.
Okay. So you're saying without the cooling influence, the grapes would be ripe and done by like September 1st or something like that, or earlier. And the cooling influence lets them not fully ripen until, like, say, the beginning of October even.
It extends.
End of September, right, I got you.
It slows
the
the metabolism
development.
of the vine.
Exactly as you were saying now,
Right.
right? It's like cold makes things last, or everything happens slower. Okay, all right, got it. Just wanted that to be clear. And so, to go back, this is Pinot Noir.
This is Pinot Noir, a grape that, particularly, by the way, I don't think the grape cares, but we like when Pinot Noir goes through that process.
The grape doesn't.
I want to
care.
say that Pinot Noir likes that. People say that.
Right.
I don't think Pinot Noir gives a shit.
Right.
But we like when Pinot Noir goes through that.
Gotcha.
Like many grapes, but especially Pinot Noir. If Pinot Noir ripens very quickly, if it accumulates sugars very quickly, you kind of have to pick it when the sugars get so high, and this is, again, with all grapes, because you don't want the alcohol levels getting too high, the sugar levels getting too high, and the acids getting too low, without the flavor having developed.
Right.
So the cooling nights, the cooling influence slows down the accumulation of sugar in the berries, allowing the flavors to continue to develop, and then eventually, in a place like the Russian River Valley, it's this perfect confluence of the flavors are ripened and the sugars are ripened. You don't just have a bunch of sugar and not really like this amazing flavor developed yet, because you both don't happen at the same time. So,
Cool. I'm sorry, I heard what you said. There was like people in the window like laughing and waving at me.
oh really?
They know we're doing a podcast, and there are teenage girls going by and like.
They know we're
laughing
doing a
and waving.
podcast.
I don't know. Well, I guess they don't know we're doing a podcast, but they know we're doing something here, and for some reason they're laughing and waving.
Because they feel like they're like going to be on like TV or
I don't
something.
know. But there's no camera pointed in that direction, so they're
But they're little
they're
kids,
not
though.
going to be.
They're little kids. They don't know anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen. You can definitely edit out things that I say during this, right?
I don't know if you should.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, because I was going to say that those 15-year-old girls were cute. No, and by which I mean sexually attractive. So you can totally edit out.
Definitely cut that out.
Okay.
Definitely cut
Good.
that out. We don't,
Just want to establish.
we don't
whether you
need to
can-
cause any.
Just checking that out.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Let's not get
Okay.
arrested.
Hold on for a second until this douchebag is
No,
licensed.
I'm kidding. They were hideous. They were hideous.
They weren't attractive.
No, they were disgusting.
You're just trying to be nice and
No,
generous.
I actually felt like the vomit rising in my. No,
You sh-
I didn't.
You know, it
No, they
wasn't
were
the
fine.
vomit, yeah.
They were nice young ladies. They were
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. And you don't even know if they're 15.
I actually don't.
They could have been 17. The
they
legal
may
limit,
have
of course.
been. I don't know.
And it doesn't matter. It's not like you hit on them. It's
And
not like you were
actually,
talking
you know
to
what?
them.
you know what? I'm pretty sure they weren't 15-year-old girls because they came in here. I saw them go into the wine bar.
And they didn't get arrested.
I saw them go into the wine bar, and I think they actually had a drink. So I don't know why I think they're 15. You know why? Because I have these reading glasses on, and everything's a blur to me. These aren't real glasses. These are reading glasses.
They're not doing the purpose then.
What? Yeah, they're just making you look good.
They're smart people.
These are reading glasses, and I think those are actually like 25-year-old women. But everything's a blur beyond like 5 feet with this.
Are you sure it wasn't my grandma? Because I don't know. I think
All right,
you can't
they were
see
people. They were definitely human
They were
beings
people.
of
They
some
weren't
kind.
attractive.
Children
I
are
am-
not people yet.
I
They're not
imagine,
people.
you know, I see what I want to see, so I imagine they're underage girls.
Right. You create your own reality.
All right.
I'm going to open this now with or without your permission.
Okay, fine.
We got to
do it.
start this podcast.
Do it. Yeah, well,
time to
obviously
start.
all of that, everything we did before.
Well, you're
going to
delete all that.
We started it. We just had that tangent there.
Right.
And honestly, I still think that there's good content from before we technically started the podcast.
Yeah, because you don't want to keep that last thing.
No, I think we should pretend that we're going to edit this down and like edit this stuff out, but then just release it raw.
Let it ride. Let it ride.
Let it ride. But I think it's a good idea that in our minds, I like the idea, like in my mind, I'm like, well, anything I say can be edited out. So that way I could just say whatever I want. Because
as you normally do.
Could be, as I do even in reality, which unfortunately can't be edited afterwards, as I've learned to my chagrin.
As well as we learned based off that argument with the girl who you called stupid at the bar the other day.
So,
which it was ridiculous.
We're hanging out at the bar the other day, me and Andrew, as we do. And there was this girl there with her boyfriend, I guess. And we were hanging out, we're talking wine, you know, talking different kinds of wine. She was in the industry in some capacity. Okay. And we were like blind tasting stuff and whatever.
You should grab some, Mallory.
Eventually, you know, an hour goes by, we're joking, we're having a good time.
Finish that little sip.
Clean your glass, clean your glass. All right. So, Russian River Valley Pinot Noir. But give me 1 second to complete the story.
Finish your thought.
We're joking, you know, and it's late, it's 11:30. I'm wasted, of course. And
you didn't eat.
No, I didn't eat.
You didn't eat.
I'm wasted, of course. Well, I'm also like 8 drinks in, so of course I'm, you know, whether I ate or not.
You were more wasted than usual. But
right. Okay. And at some point, I can't remember why, but I go to the woman I was like, you're cute, but you're kind of dumb. And I don't really remember why I said that. And she just kind of like stood up and she was like, oh, let's go. And the boyfriend gets up. I was like, hey, relax. I'm sorry. I was just kidding. I'm just messing with you, you know. And she was like, no, that's it. I'm out of here. Fuck, you know. I can say fuck, right? You can bleep it or whatever, or maybe it's fine.
Can we say fuck?
Yeah. She was like, that's it. I'm out of here. Fuck you. And I was like, hey, come on, relax. I'm just, you know. And then, but she's mad, right? Okay, fine. And at the time, it seemed normal to me. I was like, oh yes, of course she's mad. I said she was dumb, right? At the time, it seemed normal to me. But the next day, I was thinking about it. And I was like, is that really normal? Imagine you're hanging out with somebody and you're laughing and you're drinking and everything's cool, right? And you're having fun. And somebody says to you like, hey, Mallory, you know, you're a cute dude, you're a good looking guy, but you're kind of dumb. Would you be like, oh, how dare you? No, you wouldn't. You'd go like, what do you mean? Like, how so? Right? I mean, isn't that what you'd say?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just laugh it off to
right.
just completely avoid all confrontation.
Maybe. Like, my thing is, like, if somebody said to me, like, you're kind of dumb, I'd go, well, how so? What do you mean? Like, I think they had, you know what I mean? Like,
not to mention, we were in the middle of a banter back and forth.
Right.
It was one of these people that, like, you seem like you could say everything. We were just busting each other's chops.
We're all good.
They were
we're
giving
friends.
it to us. And he made this joke, which I didn't really understand what you meant by the dumb
I
thing.
didn't either.
I guess
was so wasted. I didn't know what I was saying. Right.
But they were like, goodbye, sir. And they just barged out of there.
Yeah.
It was...
It occurred to me that that's not really a normal reaction. You'd go like, what do you mean? And then if the person said like, well, I don't know, you're just dumb, you go, well, that's a weird thing to say, but okay.
You know what?
You know what I mean? Like, to just get like crazy, like...
It was a very abnormal reaction. I think I know what happened.
What?
she's dumb. She's
It
not
hit a
very
nerve.
smart.
It hit a nerve.
I think you kind of nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the right. If you say that to somebody and they get really mad, it means you hit a nerve.
But how
Too
could we
close
even
to
know?
home.
Yeah, right.
We've she's been at the bar. I've had several conversations with her, usually about wine, but like just small talk or medium talk about wine and stuff.
Medium.
And like a few times, how could we even know she was smart or dumb? Like, why would you even take it seriously? It was clearly a joke, banter, and like it's like I've known you for 10 years and I know you're dumb.
Yeah.
It was just so ridiculous to barge out at midnight at a bar.
Well, you know what?
After drinking together for 2.5 hours. Like, of course we're gonna be saying stupid shit.
Yeah, and of course she doesn't have a normal reaction because she's wasted too.
She was drunk too.
That's,
She's
you
drunk
know, a normal sober person go, what do you mean by that?
Oh yeah, I shouldn't drink this yet.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, you think that? Okay. Right, but I don't know.
We'll tag her in this.
Yeah, anyway, yeah.
I feel like she's probably not coming back anyway. So
Tag her.
maybe tag her anyway.
You got to.
I feel like it's no harm at this point.
Yeah.
So
Tag the dumb chick.
cheers.
At dumb chick.
This is the
Cheers.
Kosta Browne. If you want to do a little reach
Mr.
there,
Mallory?
a little reach around.
I will remain faceless then.
Yeah,
Smart.
Kosta Browne, Russian River. Supposed to be great. I've heard great things. Let's see. Let's
Fantastic.
see. Pinot Noir.
I hope it is.
Smells good.
Beyonce was on there.
It has that Pinot thing.
It's got Pinot on the nose.
Right.
Yes, which is what you look for in a Pinot Noir.
You do look for it, and you don't always find it.
Yep. Which is another way of saying, like, you know, it has typicity, as we say. It smells like what Pinot Noir should smell like. And the cheaper ones don't. They smell like whatever, wine. You know, this smells like Pinot Noir.
Typicity. Should we explain that like a little bit? Should we elaborate that a bit?
Typicity to me just means that the wine tastes like
The
what
type.
that type of wine should taste like. That Pinot Noir smells and tastes like Pinot Noir, what we understand as Pinot Noir. That Cabernet smells and tastes like Cabernet. You know,
Let's be clear, because we don't. Maybe the spelling of it isn't obvious. Typicity. Maybe you could pronounce it as typicity.
yeah, true to type.
True to type. TYP.
Right, typicity.
You know,
typicity.
typicity.
Sure.
Yeah. So, does this smell like a Pinot Noir? Yeah, it certainly does. Does it taste like it? Does it look like it?
It's got that like bright, racy, like, yeah, raspberry, but it's more than that. It's this tart, acrid, like what I always have this descriptor for Pinot Noir, like the best Pinot Noir that I call quickwood,
Quickwood.
as you know.
I know.
Which means a living, like a green, like when you break open like a green branch and it's got this tangy, acrid smell. Which maybe not everybody knows what that smells like. But if you spend time in the woods, maybe.
Well, they haven't lived.
Yeah, you haven't lived. But to me, Pinot Noir's got this like tangy, racy green smell on it.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean by that, by the way.
That I call quickwood. Because, you know, there's all these like fancy wine descriptors that they have, like, you know, forest floor, sauvage, pain grillé, which just means toast in French.
You can't just say toast, right? You gotta say
Pain grillé. You know, they have all these fancy
Brioche.
descriptors. Brioche. You know, which is
That's
basically
brioche
just
in the
challah.
real- in the real world.
Brioche, which maybe we know as challah, or maybe you know as brioche. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how fancy you are.
what would you say brioche is the layman's term, like a buttery-ish bread or something?
It's an egg bread,
egg bread.
like a fatty egg.
All right,
bread.
let's call it brioche actually.
I have a lot of Jewish wine, so I know it.
Okay.
I know what happens.
Notes of egg bread.
But no, I mean, I knew what challah was a long time before brioche. So to me, it's challah. I was like, oh, isn't this just challah? And they're like, it's French.
It's challah.
No, it's not challah.
It's challah.
Brioche. It's brioche. Sorry, brioche. That's French. Challah is, yes, it's the same thing, but it's Jewish, so it's down here. It's culinarily not on the same level. But challah is really good. Or an egg bagel.
Egg bagel, exactly.
You know, you're kind of in the same neighborhood. Although brioche is softer.
Softer.
And a bagel is a
It's got
bagel.
that pillowy texture on
Right,
the outside.
right,
So
you
you
know.
break through the
Right.
crust.
Right. He knows what brioche is. Where were we? Oh, yes.
Kosta
Pinot
Browne.
Noir. Kosta
Pinot
Browne.
Noir.
Russian River Valley.
Quickwood. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. It's not a bad wine.
Wow. Okay. So the nose, it's got a good nose, and it's got some cool notes on it. There's a lot of like darker, red fruit, sure, like raspberry, strawberry, mostly raspberry, but fairly dark and concentrated. And the nose isn't huge to me. I mean,
It has to open up.
It may need to open up, yeah. But right now, it's not huge.
Do you get a little toast on the nose?
I do.
A little French roast coffee?
Yeah.
That's not just me?
No.
Okay.
No, it's there. There's a little like dark toast French roast coffee, which
would be from the oak.
right, but normally
I would
it's
imagine.
got that like dark toast thing and like the like coffee bean thing that indicates maybe French oak rather than American.
Right.
I don't know. American oak usually presents when you smell like that toasted oak barrel on a wine, and if it's American, it usually comes out more like like coconut sometimes.
Yeah, coconut
toasted
dill.
dill.
I get a lot of dill, usually.
But whereas with the French, you're usually getting
Super
more
aromatic.
of a coffee bean
Yeah.
kind of.
I would imagine a producer such as Kosta Browne, very highly regarded in this day and age. Because the trend is if you're very highly regarded or whatnot, you don't use American oak as much right now. At least not with Pinot Noir. Maybe with Cabernet from Napa or
Sure.
something. Because actually, the wine we started with, it's mostly French, but there's some American in the Cabernet.
Okay.
But this wine, I haven't looked up a tech sheet. The facts about it.
Yeah.
I would say
The
that
tech sheet. We all know what
this-
that means.
I never knew what that meant.
Until you started working in the industry.
Into the
Right,
industry.
right.
I would say this is probably all French. That just my guess. Without even having tasted the wine, I would say they probably don't use American.
Just based on
The fact it's
the
a high-end
trends. Right.
wine in the year
Right.
2020.
Right.
Or
And-
2017 as it...
Right.
as
And
it
as you said, like it smells to you like you're saying you think it's French oak, just based, if you had to guess.
It's Pinot Noir. You're going to put American oak on a Pinot Noir? You crazy? It's going to taste like nothing but
it'll
American oak.
overwhelm it.
Nothing but American oak.
That's the thing, like the American oak, the flavors, the aromas you get out of American oak tend to be a lot more aggressive than what you get from French oak.
They can overpower.
They're just different species of tree, and they're just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet
So-
flavors, vanilla.
On the
dill.
American oak.
On the American, yeah.
Whereas the French just comes across as this kind of like maybe toast, maybe coffee bean, just a little like dark, woody, toasty.
Just
kind of
more
note.
subtle and, but what do you think overall? I mean,
I think it's got great
We're talking-
intensity.
we were talking price before. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to get into price
Not
here.
yet, not
This
yet.
isn't for the restaurant.
Not yet.
This is for us. Could be for the restaurant if you thought so, but
I think it's got great intensity on the palate. It's
For Pinot.
explosive
yeah.
for anything. I mean, the acid is solid, bright, punchy acid.
Right.
Lots of fruit exploding on every corner of the palate. Great. Like, it's raspberry, but it's not all like super red, light, lifted. It's like got some darkness to it without getting at all heavy or cloying or clunky. It's good,
It has a concentrated Pinot flavor.
Yeah. It's good. I want to see if the nose is going to open up. I want a bigger bouquet than what I'm getting right now.
Okay.
But maybe it'll open up as we go along.
Although bouquet, of course, refers to usually he screwed up.
I screwed up. Oh, he's going to call
Screwed
me
up.
on it. What's bouquet?
Bouquet, one might imagine, is simply the aroma of a wine.
Yes.
And fine. I mean, I'm really just splitting hairs here, of
Go
course.
on.
But what else are we doing?
We'll split the hair.
I'm
'cause
splitting
I
the hair.
haven't seen you split it yet.
I am splitting
The
the
bouquet
hair.
is the aroma.
I'm in
That's
the
what I
middle of
meant.
splitting the hair.
Well, split it.
I'm picking the hair up and I'm
Okay.
about to split it. So rather than just simply the aroma, and it could be a great aroma, it could be beautiful.
Okay.
Bouquet refers to when aromas are derived from the aging that a wine has gone through. And since it's 2017, I don't think that it's from aging, so I think that your usage of
Okay.
the term bouquet was a little premature.
All right.
maybe a little,
Okay. But
maybe a little
But
inexperienced.
in
if
my
you will.
defense,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You did know that. I told you
did
that.
not know that.
I told you that 2
No,
weeks
you
ago
said some other
when we were hanging
bullshit
out with
2
that
weeks
girl
ago.
at the bar
No,
and we were drunk Oh wait, that's why you don't remember it, because I told you when we were drunk.
I remember you talking about how I was using the word bouquet wrong.
You just called some girl dumb at the bar, and I told you that bouquet is when a wine is aged.
All right, okay. All right.
So you don't remember because you were drunk.
I remember you saying something about bouquet,
Yes.
and that I was using it wrong.
And why are you saying bouquet? Is it a bouquet?
Is
Bouquet, bouquet, what the fuck is this?
Wait,
Bouquet.
how's it spelled? Is it B-O-U?
Q-U-E-T.
So bouquet.
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 No, bouquet would be if it was B-E-A-U. Right, it's B-O-U, so that's bouquet. O-U in French makes it sound oo. So you're right, it's bouquet.
It would be
Bouquet.
Right. Okay, well there you go then.
Alright.
There you have it, sports fans.
So
why you have a song.
that was two rare victories against Josh and one right there. Kind of about the same thing
Thank you.
at the same time. That was very
I know.
meta.
I know, because like I actually like I'm
No shit.
okay in French too. You'd think I'd be pronouncing that properly.
You're probably better than me in
Okay.
French.
Yeah. Bouquet. It's a bouquet, obviously.
Bouquet.
Good wine though.
It is a good one.
But like I'm saying, I need the nose to give me a little more. Okay, is
Yeah,
that better?
yeah.
The nose? Can I say that?
Well, that's what you would say.
Yeah.
I mean, is it better? Well, yeah, that's what you do say.
Right.
That's what you have to say.
Right. The nose is anything that it smells, right?
Yes.
The smell.
Yes.
The odor.
Don't say odor. Don't say.
I'm joking.
Guys, I would love you to try this wine. It's a beautiful bottle from Russian River Valley. It has a great odor.
Odor?
Of,
What?
We'll pass. We'll pass.
Well, it's weird.
We'll take a Bud Light.
Odor just means the smell of something, but we only use it if it's negative.
Yeah,
If it's
yeah.
if it's a good smell, it's an aroma.
Gotcha.
Bad smells are odors, but good smells are aromas, right? I mean,
Sure.
isn't that
Yeah.
true? Right.
No, sure.
That's fair, though. That can
sure.
exist.
That's a
I'm
wonderful odor. What? What are you
okay.
talking about?
What if you walk into like a... What if you step in shit and someone's like, what's that aroma? that equally is not okay.
I almost spit.
I almost got you.
You
Almost got you.
me. You almost made me spit
What's
out
that
this
aroma of, like,
$150 bottle.
Dog shit.
Feces.
We can't curse, 'cause I forgot.
In the industry, it's feces.
In the industry, yeah.
What industry is that? Which industry are you talking about?
The lawn mowing industry.
All right. So I think we have to. I mean, I'm still waiting for the nose to open up a little bit and give me a little more. The palate's explosive, intense.
Don't wait too long. Don't wait. You might wait so long it'll become a bouquet. Don't do that.
So it's 2017.
It's 2017.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you think it would benefit from more age?
My initial gut, like right away, is yes.
Really?
Without thinking into it.
Okay.
And that is, I'll admit, simply based off the fact it's very expensive.
Normally, what would we look for to know if it would benefit from age?
Tannin, acid, preservatives, I would say. Like, tannin and acid in a wine. Acid, in particular, it prevents microbes, whatever that might be,
Sure.
spoilage, whatever. And, like, it really effectively prevents spoilage,
Right.
bacteria, or
That's why
whatever.
the ketchup in your refrigerator never goes bad because it's 90%
Distilled
vinegar. Right.
I mean, the acid takes care of just about all wine. Almost all wine. Unless there's a significant amount of sugar in the wine, then that could be a problem for re-fermentation, but the acid does a great thing. And every wine is pretty acidic. Certain whites are extremely acidic. Champagne's extremely acidic.
Sure.
Reds, on the
All
other
wines
hand...
are acidic. I mean, they come from
Well,
fruit.
they're all acidic.
Right. Fruit
Some
is,
more than
fruit
others.
is tart.
Well, I mean, for example, champagne approaches the pH of a lemon,
Yeah.
which is insane if you really
It's
think.
amazing. You're
Would you drink
drinking
lemon juice?
Right.
Would you drink
That's
that?
how tart champagne is. Yeah.
And that we could get into that a whole other day because there's things they do to counteract that. Hunter Valley Semillon, which they actually call Hunter Valley Riesling, or at least
Hunter
traditionally.
Valley being in Australia.
Australia.
And
That actually-
Semillon is a white Bordeaux grape.
Yes,
Getting a little
it
too
is.
intense.
I'm not getting into the.
Okay, all right. You're
You
talking
don't have
to
to
me.
follow
All right.
the nitty gritty. All I'm making the point of, that wine reaches a pH of 2.9, which is exactly the pH, or more or less the pH of a lemon. So, like, these wines get very acidic. So, yes.
I thought lemons were more like 2.2 or something.
No, I don't think so.
Not that acidic.
No, fact check.
Depends
Fact
on the
check.
lemon, too.
Fact check. I don't think so.
Depends on the lemon. No, I think lemon is 2.2.
I feel like I looked it up when I read this, because I read that it was the same pH as the lemon,
Mallory,
so I
can
looked
you
it up.
check?
Yeah, please.
Can we do that?
pH.
I think you can do that.
Is that part of his role as the DP?
You can use the Google machine.
What's the pH of a lemon?
The average pH.
Yes, I mean it depends on the lemon.
What if it's a
right?
tart lemon?
Yeah, well, sure. Well, Meyer lemon is going to be like a little less acidic.
Lower, yeah.
You
Or
know,
well,
and then,
higher,
like,
but less acidic.
Ponderosa might be a 2.4, and
Anyway, I've gone on a little bit of a thing. So that's the acid. That is great for preserving wine, whites, reds alike.
Sure.
Reds, though,
we're talking about whether this wine can age or not, whether it would benefit from more age.
Reds have tannin.
Sure.
Tannin is a protein. It's a molecule. It's antioxidative. It protects.
I know what tannin is.
Oh, so never mind. It protects the wine
I know you're saying it
from oxygen, which if you just oxygen is what can break a wine down. It breaks everything down, essentially. It breaks the wine down. It makes the flavors decay. It decays the wine. It makes it less enjoyable eventually. However, before it does that, in a good wine, it will actually make the wine more interesting because it kind of like pulls the flavors out, stretches them out. It protracts the flavors. So a flavor that you would get from oxidation, such as like mushroom in Pinot Noir, is common.
Sure.
It's not going to go from fruity like it is right now to mushroom overnight.
Sure.
There will be a point in the middle. Let's just say it's those two flavors, and it's actually many, many more.
Right.
It'll go from fruity, and it'll start to develop mushroomy flavors while it's still fruity.
Right.
So you can now, I would say, that wine just became more interesting.
Right.
It's fruity,
More
and then you get
complex.
the secondary flavor of like a mushroomy, whatever thing going on, cooked mushroom, savory element, whatever that might be.
Right. And I feel like, there's at least two benefits to aging. One is just to settle down the tannin and stuff and let the wine kind of mellow a bit. Sometimes they're just too harsh in some way.
Right.
But the other one is that the mellowing and the quieting of the fruit and the tannin and all that let some of those more subtle secondary flavors come out and give you the complexity.
Sure.
Right. I mean, it's a kind of a dual benefit. Some wines are just like too harsh to drink young.
Right.
But some just get more complex because the primary, like all that bright fruit and that young plush fruit, quiets down and it lets all the kind of earthy notes and the minerally notes and all that come out. So,
If a wine has if it's been aged in oak barrels, and the oak is showing very prominently in its youth, as other flavors develop and become more prominent, and as the bouquet, as it were, starts to expand, there's a point where the the bouquet and the oak and any other element kind of come into harmony,
comes into balance.
You might say that is the point that the wine has peaked.
Right.
There's a lot of things that happen. It's not just a couple. It's many things. There is science to back it up.
Sure.
So it's a good thing.
I'm not questioning you.
Now, does this wine have those characteristics?
Are there any secondary flavors to come out as it ages, or is it just going to fade? Because I've drank wines that were like a couple of years older, maybe.
Yeah.
And the fruit fades, and there's nothing else.
Could be.
Right? And
could be.
I mean, I'm sure you've had wines like that where it's just like, it just kind of faded.
Right.
There's nothing there.
And anytime you read a magazine that gives you a suggested drinking window, they're always making an estimate.
Right.
It could be the case that
Or a guess.
it's a guess. It could be the case that Kosta Browne always ages well, and for some reason, it's the same fruit from the same vineyards, the same winemaker's hand, the same oak treatment, and for some reason, 2017, it just doesn't age quite as well.
Yep.
And you can try and break it down, but the fact is, it's a very complex liquid, and the factors that went into producing it are very complex. So maybe it just won't.
Right.
But it probably will follow whatever the estimates are, more or less.
See, I feel like a lot of people think that ageability is just all about like the amount of tannin, and it's just about mellowing the tannin down. And there's a lot more to it than that.
Right.
It's like maybe there are some wines like this, maybe not this one, but there are some wines that are like bright and exuberant, like bright young fruit, and you think, well, it might benefit from aging a little bit because we'll get more of those complex secondary vinous, aromas and so forth. And then they do age, and they're just not there. There's nothing.
It could be.
It just becomes faded. So there's more to it than just mellowing out the tannin. Is all
Sure.
I'm saying.
Sure.
And really, we don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know.
You're just guessing.
But again, to go back to this specific wine, since that's what you were asking about,
Kosta Browne.
it's
Russian River
not
Valley
extremely
Pinot Noir.
tannic. I mean, and Pinot
No,
Noir
it's
is
not.
not a tannic grape.
And nor should it be, right?
That's why usually your Cabs, your great Cabernets from Bordeaux or cult classic Napas or the like, they might age for decades and decades, 30, 40 maybe.
Sure, because
years.
they're so stuffed full of tannin
they're
preserving
stuffed,
them.
They're stiff, they're packed.
Cabernet
And
Sauvignon is basically the most tannic grape, generally. So Nebbiolo.
It's among them,
Barolo,
for sure.
But, yeah.
And they have so much fruit flavor, so much fruit intensity, that not only can the juice survive this voyage, which is what like the preservative quality, the tannin, and the acid's about, but there's so much flavor that over this 30-year period, as the flavor decays, it's still worth drinking. It's still interesting. Because you could certainly have a grape juice that's really tannic, really acidic, but if the flavor is not there and the flavor decays, maybe 10 years in, well, the wine's still fine. It hasn't spoiled in any sense of the word. It's still perfectly sound, but it just isn't fun to drink anymore. It just isn't interesting to drink.
Boring.
That's a problem. Cabernet tends to be interesting because it's so much packed in, and it might be a little bit of something that's blended with it, but the flavor, as it unravels over these decades, it's still so interesting and gets preserved so well that it's still a good wine. Pinot Noir, admittedly, I think usually has a lesser of a lifespan, although the greatest examples, probably from Burgundy, are close, a few decades, 2 decades, 25 years. This, I imagine that there's people that would say this could age for 30 years, but what do you think it peaks at? 15, 12?
Personally, I think 5.
If you ask the winemaker, they'd be like, oh, this will age for 30 years. They always will say that. They'll always say that. And I'm sure if it's preserved perfectly, it probably will still be interesting, but it probably peaks like 7, 10 years.
Fine, I'll buy that.
I think a little longer. I think 10 or 12.
Okay. I mean, Burgundy Pinot Noir is often kind of tannic. We drink a lot of New World Pinot Noirs, Willamette Valley, Oregon, Russian River, which I love, Central Coast, New World, and they are not tannic wines. But Burgundy Pinot Noirs, they've often got some stiffness to them. They got a little grip and tannin.
Well, what's one reason
Isn't
you
that
think
true?
that is? Oh, I agree.
Why do I think that is?
What's at least one reason why that might be?
Well, I guess it would have something to do with the climate. I mean, if it's colder, the grape is going to put on a little thicker skin to protect itself, and the skin is where the tannin is. And that's probably part of the reason. It's the cooler climate.
I think that's a complex thing. I've also heard that the sunlight makes the skin, makes the grape fortify itself with more tannin.
Well, in California, there should be more sunlight than in France. That's at a higher latitude.
But is that the reason, though?
I don't know. I would have thought
I don't
know.
I'm getting at a specific point here that one major contributor to the higher level of tannin in Burgundian Pinot Noir is stem inclusion.
The winemaking process.
Rather than simply the berries.
Oh, yeah, I'm
only.
sure you're right. Of course, now that you say that, obviously, you're getting some stem tannins.
You're getting stems, and
because they're doing whole cluster.
Exactly, whole cluster, and they do it in California too.
Right.
But
But so they actually take
that's a factor.
They take pains in California to de-stem everything and to have lower tannin wines.
I think that it occurs, and at the same time, and
it occurs because they put the clusters in a de-stemmer.
Well, they put them in a de-stemmer. There's some people that put some stems in though. I think that generally, like some producers, good producers, probably throw some stems in. I kind of feel like Kosta Browne knows that the tannins in their wines, because the grapes are so ripe, that the tannins soften, and they probably throw a few stems in there.
Sure, just as a preservative.
But it's such a warm climate that
Yeah.
it ripens so well that the tannins soften up so much.
Okay.
Kind of goes back to both winemaking, like including stems, and what you said initially, the climate. It's just hotter
Yep.
and sunny. It's hotter in California.
The tannins ripen.
It's cooler in Burgundy.
Sure.
I mean, that's one of the bottom lines there.
The tannins get ripe and soft.
But we digress. We digress a little bit.
Are we digressing? We're talking about the wine that we're supposed to be talking about. How's this a digression?
Because you're an asshole.
Well, yeah, but that's not a digression. That's the topic.
We're digressing from talking about how much of an asshole you are.
That
was way more funny.
Okay. Well, let's get back to that.
To you being an asshole?
Yeah.
When else were you an asshole recently?
Okay. All right. Good question. I mean, it happens to me basically every day.
Week. Once a week.
At least once a week.
Once a week. Maybe tonight will be the night.
Once a week, somebody throws a drink in my face for
God
some
knows.
reason. Yeah.
God knows
I'm
this
like
will
that kind
not
of guy
be
that's
the
always got
last drink of the
thrown
night.
in his face. You bastard.
This is not the last drink of the night once this Kosta Browne is even done.
Hey, I don't want to. I'm not a fortune teller. I can't predict the future.
We'll have just one more after the Kosta Browne.
It seems.
Is there any really one more?
There's actually a good amount of Kosta Browne.
There's more Pinot than I thought there would be.
This ain't Pinot, Mallory. This is Kosta Browne. Russian River
It's just
Browne.
any Pinot.
Thank you. That's good.
Boom.
There you go.
What do you
I think it's funny that every so often my arm appears in the shot to get a refill.
Well, you're here. You're drinking wine.
That's cool. It's gonna be like people are gonna be watching this going, I wonder what this dude looks like. Maybe I can extrapolate from his arm. Figure out.
Well, he probably has a really small penis based off his arm.
Based on his arm. Why?
It's so long.
Well, you're compensating. You're overcompensating.
That looks like a regular arm to me. I don't know.
6 foot wingspan.
Can you tell though
You have a
from the
6 foot
wide angle
wingspan?
lens?
Yeah, but you're about 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So that's normal.
Yeah.
With the wide angle lens, won't it be like a weird, distorted when you're close to it? Yeah.
Because I've heard that where they say that your wingspan typically is the same as your height.
Yeah.
And you have a 6 foot wingspan.
Yes.
And you're 6 feet.
Just about.
So there you go. So you're a normal, properly proportioned man.
I did hear though too that if your wingspan is longer than your height, that you're actually gay.
I'm not gay. I'm not,
Well, who said that gay was bad?
Wrong with it.
Yeah, gay is great.
I'm just saying. I'm really not gay. I mean, not that I don't have sex with men. Not saying that. But
Not me.
No,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it.
I'm not saying I've never had sex with a guy and whatever. But I'm not gay.
Wait, you've had sex with a man?
Look, I don't want to get into this. Forget it.
Real juicy, man.
No. Listen, I don't want to get into that.
Too juicy.
But what I'm trying to say is that I have an
Thing for guys.
intense no for women. I have an intense,
That's exactly what I was getting at.
unhealthy, almost unhealthy, sort of a lecherous. You know that word, right, of course.
No.
No, lecherous.
I kind of have a feeling of what it means though.
I have a lecherous interest in women.
Like a sadistic,
Yeah, like a sick, like
twisted,
dirty,
like
right.
no regard for their
I
space.
have a lecherous, unhealthy, like offensive interest in women.
Predatory.
Predatory, predatory. Thank you.
Interest.
It's predatory. That's what I'm trying to say.
But it's not the word predatory,
so-
and that's good.
So I would say that means I'm not gay, right?
Sure.
Okay.
You might.
I'm just saying.
You might. Never thought of it that way.
So many options now.
I never thought if you were lecherous, that eliminated you from being gay. Never thought of that. I'll have to consider that one. I'll mull that one over.
All right. Well, all right. You know what I think you should do? Like all of the. He wants us to get back on topic now.
All right, guys, get back to the wine thing.
Back to
Less
the-
incriminating.
No, what I think you should do, just like whatever's not appropriate, just you don't have to edit, just bleep it out.
Just bleep it.
Yeah.
Like a 5-minute bleep.
No, but you can just bleep out enough words that they can't understand what's being said. It'd be weird though, right? It's
You
just
know what's disturbing to me? That this is actually how we normally talk.
Oh,
I mean,
And he's like actually a little like, hey, no.
hey guys, pull it back.
I actually feel like we're holding back.
just for the sake of documentation.
I'm trying to be on my best behavior.
Don't have
'cause-
sense of humor.
I think we're well behaved, yeah.
Well, I mean, but that's what happens. It's like you sit down, you drink a fine
Kosta Browne.
$150, $200 Pinot Noir
never got
from
there,
the
right?
Russian River Valley.
Yeah,
And then, wine loosens the tongue, as they say.
it does.
It loosens
It
the
does.
tongue.
We were a
and
bunch of nervous
then
little
you talk.
bitches back in the day when this podcast started.
Yeah.
48
I know,
minutes
when we
ago.
first started, we were all good and
We're
like,
like, so
serious
welcome
and shit.
to the...
Welcome to our podcast.
And we're like, fuck guys, and I'm proud.
Ooh.
Wait, we never said
Exactly.
that. We never said that.
Just bleep everything.
We never said that. That's not on
We
camera.
never said it.
Yeah.
Well, if I just scroll back a little bit.
Delete that shit.
But I think if you just bleep, and then it'll just be like, well, what I'm saying is that when you go to bleep, and my feeling is
I
bleep.
have a bleep interest in bleep.
Right. Exactly.
Almost a bleep sense of bleep and bleep.
Exactly. And it's fine.
There you go.
It's fine. You don't have to cut it.
Nothing
Just-
to worry about.
Just bleep. Just bleep all the words that let people know what's being said.
My job
I
in the
think that'll
public
work.
sector will be
It'll work.
fine. Nothing to worry about.
I know he's got a public sector
Yeah,
job.
true.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
All right, so let's
I
get
still
back to
believe in freedom of speech.
overall price point. How you wanted to sum this?
All right,
He leaked
so-
it, but let's get back to
Well,
I did.
Okay.
Well, he didn't leak it because he doesn't know.
I don't know.
He's.
Oh, okay.
I
He was
actually don't know
assuming-
He
this
said a
wine.
number. He said a number.
He did say a number.
I actually don't know this wine.
Okay.
He's familiar with its reputation, and just based on some of the things he said, I get the sense that it's a premium wine. But let's do this. This is an exercise we always do. He'll give me a wine blind, or I'll give him a wine blind, and I'll say, what would you pay for this? What
He
would
always
you?
gets it wrong though on the expensive wines because he never wants to pay.
I wouldn't pay that.
He never wants to pay what it is, and I get it, but you can't see prestige. You
Sure.
never consider prestige.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna consider the prestige of Kosta Browne because I don't know the winery.
Okay.
I'm gonna consider that it's Russian River Valley, which is a great. I mean, there are great Russian River Valley Pinot Noirs. Absolutely.
Sure.
It's a great Pinot Noir area. And I'm gonna consider the flavor. I'm gonna say this is I'm just gonna take it as a well-regarded Russian River Valley Pinot Noir, and considering what's in the bottle,
Sure.
what's in the glass. It has a great nose, well, a very good nose with the right notes. Again, I'm still missing the intensity, but that could be my sniffer is a little off tonight, which happens. Sometimes you're more sensitive, sometimes less.
Yeah, that's late.
Yeah.
That affects
The
it.
palate is great. It's explosive. It's tremendous. It's like punchy. Everything.
It's a little floral. It's got this like rose petal thing.
Yeah. Now, say retail, I would not mind paying. I would not mind paying even 70 or 80 a bottle retail on this.
And you're not-
Now,
Okay.
it could easily be more, but I just would never pay more than that for anything.
Right.
You can get, because you can find, even if this is 150 a bottle, which I suspect it is, you can get equally good stuff. If you're willing to go 60, 70, 80 a bottle, you can get the best in the world. You can get the equal of any other wine. Like, that's the top. Beyond that, it's just like marketing, supply and demand, cult, status, history.
Or it's been aged and it's rare.
Or it's been aged.
It's been aged.
Sure, but it's beyond that. It's supply and demand.
I would say the only time when it's worth it, If you're spending $80 on a bottle, you should get the best tasting wine available. The only time when you could get something more interesting and it costs more money is if it's been aged.
Yep.
I kind of
No,
agree.
the aging.
Kind of agree.
Agree on the aging. But for a 2017
It's
wine,
a 2017.
listen, man, this is delicious. It's it's explosive, and it's got that grippy. Not even that grippy, but it's got that like bright acid. It hits you on the side of the palate.
Right.
It's got those perfect like blend of like ripe fruit and green notes. I mean, it's awesome. And it's Russian River Valley Pinot too. You know, it has like all those like perfect like ripe fruit, but really intense acid and like little racy green hints, haunting aromas. I mean, it's awesome.
It's a Pinot Noir note.
Typical Pinot Noir note on the
Haunting.
nose.
I don't know. You can't really explain haunting.
There's it just means it's intense,
it applies
but
to Pinot
subtle
Noir,
somehow.
Nothing else for some reason. Yeah,
Right,
intense and subtle.
intense but subtle,
Yeah.
which are opposites, but somehow it's both.
true though. It's true. In a strange way.
It's awesome. I love it. I would marry this wine if it wasn't 150.
What does a layman think? What do you just
what do you
really
think? How do you like
quickly?
it? Right.
Because you're not really going to say that much. That means anything anyway. What do you think about this wine? Do you like it?
So first of all,
Are you asking me what I think the price would be?
before you
Not the price.
answer, understand that your opinion is bullshit and worthless.
Yeah.
And also, what is your opinion?
You know nothing.
Just understand that.
Just from
I
a
don't like it
layman's
anymore.
term, I think it's a very easy glass of wine to enjoy.
Okay.
You can appreciate it. It may go down a little too smooth for someone who doesn't actually like take the time to appreciate it.
All right.
It's too good.
Right.
Yeah, I mean.
But I think Pinot Noir can be like that, right? Where
Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
I agree.
It goes on smooth.
Just like this one, my fiance likes. She loves Pinot Noir. She doesn't really have a preference. She just, she'll taste it and she'll like it. But I do appreciate it. I think knowing what goes on behind the scenes before it gets to your glass is, what makes a true enthusiast or some appreciate it. Just unfortunately, you can't taste the process.
So,
if you're.
But you've drank, you've drunken, drank. You've drank.
There's 5 options.
You've drank it?
Drank, drank. I don't know. I don't know.
You've drunk a decent number of Pinot Noirs, right? Do you like it?
Oh yeah, I definitely like it.
Why do you like it? What's it doing for you?
Again, just something that goes down easy.
It goes down easy, but that's most Pinot Noirs. How is this one different from others?
Maybe it's not.
That maybe I can't exactly.
Maybe it's not that different.
Maybe it's not. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I would say I've definitely had Pinot Noirs that again like are a little creamier, have like vanilla.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aroma to it.
California stuff. No doubt.
Yeah, and I think maybe those like because of the vanilla, like I'm a vanilla guy over chocolate,
Sure.
so maybe those I enjoy a little bit more.
It's a different style.
But like,
Interesting, because those are probably
Those are
a little bit
cheaper.
cheaper, obviously.
Yeah, but I wouldn't shy away
it's
from
so
this just
expensive.
because I don't taste that vanilla aroma.
Well, see,
Right.
that's an interesting point. This is
It
a
is a good
different.
point.
What's good about this is a different thing, right? There are those California Pinot Noirs. They got little cherry vanilla cola, almost cherry vanilla cola deal going on, and they're delicious. They're cool. This is a different deal. This is about this like green, tart, intense fruit that's like, pucker, like you're feeling this like this weird like puckery, grippy thing on the sides of your cheeks, and it's like fruity and racy and intense and green. It's a different deal from that stuff, and this is probably more expensive to produce because that you can get by taking like some slightly overripe Pinot Noir that's still got some nice fruit, but it's like a little sugary. You put that in a barrel with some American oak and parts of the vanilla, and you get a very nice like kind of cherry vanilla cola deal. And that's all great, I'm not knocking that. I like that kind of Pinot too.
Sure.
But this is like real Pinot Noir. Sorry, no offense.
Well,
Again, my opinion is
But
shit.
yeah, but no,
no,
that's all
it's
good.
actually really not.
That's all good, but this is like good in a different way.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I
it's
agree. Like I said, it wouldn't shy me away from this just because it doesn't
Yeah, but it's a different deal. It's a different deal.
This is where Pinot Noir. This is why Pinot Noir, when it's at its most expensive, is so not user friendly.
Sure.
Because the idea of Pinot Noir, one of the ideas of Pinot Noir, is that it's a vessel to communicate where the grapes were grown. It's a word they call terroir. It basically, what they're getting at is like, you should be able to taste Pinot Noir and be like, wow, that's such a unique version of Pinot Noir. That is Russian River Valley. It has high typicity, as we said. That is California. That is Sonoma. That is Russian River.
It is
And then when you
Russian
drink
River.
Pinot Noir from Burgundy, you're like, man, that is Pinot Noir from Burgundy.
Yeah.
That is Burgundy, baby. Like, wow, the earth and the limestone and, man, the tannin, it's all in there. And that's like, Pinot Noir, they say, carries the earth and the terroir better than any other variety. And that's what Pinot Noir is about. Not that it's like necessarily more delicious, it's that it's just so interesting and so cerebral to drink this juice because it just says so much.
Well,
not that it's simply delicious.
And when we say it says so much, what we're really saying is that the grape is very sensitive to the different growing conditions. It'll come out a lot different. A couple of degrees hotter or a little drier or whatever, the flavors come out a lot different. It's very sensitive. So which means that you can really get like the difference between Russian River Valley and Carneros in South Napa.
However, as opposed to if you grew Merlot in Oaknell District of Napa and then a ripe Merlot in Saint-Emilion, you probably can tell the difference, but it might be a little more muddled. They might, in Bordeaux in France, they might be some overlap there.
But they're not
like
super
Pinot
crazy
Noir
different.
from California, Pinot Noir from Burgundy, France, boy, can you tell the difference. Like, it is a different wine, even though it's the same grape.
The grape is very sensitive to the growing conditions.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say, because it's so sensitive to like the temperature, the growing like climate and all that.
Soil.
It's a wine that like continuously varies in
Yeah.
flavor because of what the weather
From
would
one
be like
region?
from 1 year.
Right.
Region, yeah, 1 year.
The
one region.
vintages, and the regions,
Right.
Yeah, sure, right on.
So,
But that makes it it makes it fun and interesting, especially to the connoisseur.
Because it's always a mystery. Because it's like, how long am I going to let this one age versus this one?
All that
Because,
too.
You know.
That's
and
it.
how is it showing? I mean, there's.
But I
Boy,
really
we could
agree.
break down Pinot Noir for
This
weeks.
is Russian. I mean, we're talking about someplace that's like 30 miles away. This is Russian River Valley. It's not Carneros. Carneros is totally different.
Sure.
And that's that's one of the
California.
cool things about Pinot Noir, right? It's like Russian River Valley in Sonoma County has a very different flavor from Carneros, also in like southern Sonoma County and in southern Napa. The Carneros region actually spans the
Not
two
especially
counties.
far away.
Right.
I remember
And they're
being.
quite different.
I remember being in both. I mean, I drove through Carneros to reach. I went to Sonoma first, and I went to Russian River Valley, and I have two memories of Russian River Valley. I was in this kind of a plain, Russian River Valley. I think it's mostly along the banks of the river with a little bit of slope. There's a lot of forests. I remember that's where the best vineyards are, and then slightly outside of that, there's a little bit of like flatter vineyards, which are probably lower quality, that just like get the benefit of being called Russian River.
Sure.
That was just my memory of it.
Right.
But as you're saying, it was not 25 minutes before that, I think, that I was in Carneros on the way to Russian River Valley in the car.
Right.
And the wines are completely different. Now, how different would Merlot be from those two places? Like, different, but could you really tell so easily?
I think no.
Not as easily, yeah.
No. Right.
So, all right, we've been on this wine. We're actually almost done. What do you think this costs retail?
Okay. What do I really?
It's an interesting question.
So there's two different
considering it's
questions.
Pinot,
There's what
considering
would
it's
I
Russian
pay
River.
and what do I think it costs?
Yes.
Me, I'm not going to go much above 80, 85 retail. I'm just not going to go above that.
Okay.
Because you can always get good options.
Right.
You can always get great wines.
Right.
At $80 retail. What do I think it costs? I mean, if it's a well-respected estate, vineyard in Russian River Valley, and it produces this quality of wine consistently, which I don't know. If it produces this quality of wine consistently year to year, see, that's the thing. Let me back up for 1 second.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When I assess the wine by itself, I go, well, it's very good, but I don't really know the price. It could be anywhere from, $40 a bottle retail up to $200, $250. Because it might be that it's a $40 bottle and this just happens to be a great vintage. Or it could be that every vintage is great.
In which
vintage
case,
nails it.
it's
In which
worth
case,
the
it's
higher
going to be
price.
$250 a bottle.
Because
it's what you're paying for is the reliability, the consistency. Every
the
vintage.
guarantee maybe
The guarantee
that the bottle is going to be
right.
It's going to be very good,
That's
maybe
right.
amazing, but at least very good.
But that's really the difference. It's like if you hunt and peck, you can always find cheaper stuff that's just as good as anything, the most expensive wine in the world. But what you pay for is this vineyard consistently, year after year, produces very high quality wine.
They nail it.
That's what you're paying for.
They pay the price in the vineyard. They pay the right amount of
Right.
labor. They guarantee that
They
the
will
quality
make
is good.
sure,
Yeah,
right.
which makes it cost more. But
So
it's worth it.
if this is of this kind of quality year after year, it's easily, retails at $150.
yeah. So you ready for the reveal?
Ready for the reveal.
So I'll start with where we are as buyers of wine from the wholesale side. I believe it costs $77
Okay. Wholesale.
wholesale, which would put it at about $120 retail.
Could be. Or as little as 100. Depending on
Yes,
depending on the wine
on a
shop.
store that can afford those slim margins.
Yeah.
Yes, sure, it could be about 100 retail. Could go up to 120, maybe a little higher, 130. Restaurant, I think you're talking young, a high hundreds, 180, 200-ish. If you found a back vintage Kosta Browne of say a 12-year-old Kosta Browne, you might be talking 300. Something like that. I think that's all fair. If that was, a vintage people cared about, or so 350 is, I don't think, insane. Kosta Browne. So this, just based off the price and the name.
All right.
But that's what people buy off of, because what else do you buy off of? Right?
Well, I'll tell you this. At 77 wholesale, $77 a bottle wholesale, I would not be unwilling to. I would consider buying this. This is a hell of a Pinot Noir.
Focus on the texture. It has
Yeah.
this. It does have this ethereal. It just disappears, ghost-like. And,
Yeah.
and then one starts to appreciate the term
Right.
haunting. It's not just the aroma;
Absolutely.
it's the way it just kind of just just disappears, evaporates. So it really
And
is.
going back to what I was saying before, I've had Russian River Valley Pinot Noirs that cost, 18, 20 a bottle, that were nearly as good as this. And they were amazing. They were in this category. But then the next vintage, nothing. Garbage.
But there, remember the one?
Yes.
What was it? Ron Brown's.
Ron Rubin.
Ron Rubin.
I can't. What was the vintage?
I'm just kidding. Ron Brown's. I know it's not Ron Brown's.
What's Ron Brown?
Ron Brown's is the Ether Boy or
Terrible
something.
reference.
Just a terrible reference.
Zero.
I mean, it was just embarrassing.
The
I'm just
Ron
embarrassed I
Rubin,
even did it. The
Russian
Ron
River
Rubin,
Valley
yeah.
Pinot Noir. I can't remember the vintage. Maybe it was like 2014. It was
Mind-blowingly
amazing
amazing. Yeah.
for like $18 a bottle.
Not even.
Maybe
Not even.
16.
Ron Rubin.
Working here at that time.
Ron Rubin was. Oh, Ron
It had the
Brown.
R.
And the A&R. Yeah, the A&R. Yeah. Everybody raved about that.
It was.
I remember.
It's still in my head today.
I'm still raving about
The
it.
Ron Rubin Pinot Noir. Maybe it was 2014 was the vintage. 2015. 2014, I think.
I think
It was
2014,
mind-blowing.
2014.
It was not too different from this. And then we're like, this stuff is incredible at like, $15 a wholesale.
Not wildly
Say
different
retail
from
like
this.
it's 22 or something. Incredible.
Yeah.
Next vintage, nothing.
Not quite the same thing.
But that's what it is. When you're paying the top dollar, you're paying it because it's that vintage after vintage.
Also, it's exponential. It has quite an increase of price. Like
Sure.
it goes from
Little
13
better.
quickly to 25,
Right.
quickly to $70 a bottle. Like
Right.
it exponentially increases.
Yeah. your average $70 bottle of wine is
It ain't
only
much better.
that much better than your $20.
It ain't much better. It's
Once-
just
once you
fucking
get
grape
into-
juice. Like, let's just be real.
Sure. But once you're getting at like top quality wines, it's like, okay, this is top quality wine. I want something a little better. Well, you got to pay 10 times as much. You know, it's diminishing returns.
Exactly. But there are people with a lot of money
Sure.
that are willing to pay for that extra little bit, and it drives the price of the whole market up. And well, that's the game.
Yep.
That's the game.
So, I feel like we can kind of cut it here,
Okay. And then start really talking shit.
and then we do Salumi, Tapas, and Wine Bar after hours.
Like a little
2.
15-minute, like.
Well, we're already on it.
All right. Yeah. So no, the podcast was great. So what did you think? Like some like little like.
I think we should take a smoke break. I know I've been vaping this whole time, but I think we should take a smoke break.
I could use a
and
cigarette.
then think if we want to record a little after hours session with our cocktails. Just a thought.
Well, let's see how it feels after a cigarette.
Like, in conclusion, let's just do like a quick in conclusion.
Well, in conclusion,
You're the host, yes?
the Kosta Browne Pinot Noir.
You poured me. I poured you the whole night.
Kosta Browne Pinot Noir.
There's not even really anything
Russian
left.
River Valley.
There's nothing left. You should
It's
pour
a
yourself.
solid Pinot Noir. And yeah, it's expensive, but it's not out of control. If that were to retail at $100 a bottle, I wouldn't necessarily tell people, I wouldn't tell people to not do it. This is this is a solid, delicious, wonderful, exciting example of what Russian River Valley Pinot Noir is. And it's okay for $100 a bottle. It's not ridiculous.
Very simply, at this age, not impressed. Needs to be aged. I don't think we should ever get this wine for the list. At this age, it's not worth whatever young. It needs to have developed flavors on it. And I actually believe it will be really interesting. Give it 4 or 5 years. Very interesting wine. I think it's completely not worth the price right now.
Really?
I don't think so.
Because what?
$100? We're going to put on the list for $150?
Well, on the
Let's
list,
not
that's
debate
true.
it though, because then it keeps the audience like really guessing. No, I'm serious.
All right.
We
So,
can leave it as like a topic for like next episode.
in conclusion,
In conclusion,
good wine, lots of interest in it, lots of great flavors. Is it worth 100 retail? Maybe not yet. Maybe once it's aged a bit. Of course, then it won't be 100. It'll be more.
so you buy it now, you let it sit,
Buy now.
and you take the chance.
The recommendation is buy now, drink in 3 years.
Is that what we're doing? We're recommending.
What do you say?
Blue chip purchase.
Well, you're the sommelier.
I
What do you say?
think get a couple bottles, sure. Yes.
And drink when?
Yes.
Open when?
2000, at least 25.
Oh, okay. Right.
What did you say?
I said 3 years.
No. 2025 at least.
All right.
Yeah. Let it age. Let it
All right.
really age. Unless you're storing it like an asshole in like your basement that gets hot sometime. If you're storing it correctly in a fridge or a cellar, 2025.
Okay. Very good. So there you have it. It's the
There you have it.
once again, in conclusion, it's the Kosta Browne 2017 Russian River Valley Pinot Noir. Probably retails at around 100 in your average wine shop. And the recommendation is buy a couple of bottles. Don't go all in, but buy a couple of bottles and drink in 5 years. That's the sommelier's recommendation.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's a fair
And
call.
we're going to take a little break and have a smoke. If you guys want to stick around, we're going to do the Salumi, Tapas, and Wine Bar after hours cocktail drink in just a minute.
And what will happen? Anything can happen.
Anything could happen.
Wow. Cheers. You have
Ooh,
nothing
it's
left.
bad luck
You have
to
nothing
toast on an
left.
empty glass.
Well, you have to drink the sip. Drink the sip.
That's not a sip.
Drink the
That's
drop.
nothing. No,
you
that's
have to
not
drink
a
the
drop.
drop. Oh,
All
my
right,
God.
fine, I'll drink the drop.
I can't sip this.
Just you guys shitting on each other. You can't toast on an empty glass.
Hold on, let me drink some cab. I got the cab.
All right.
All right, and we're out.